So this is Charles Clinton, and yeah, I am an IMG. So I did medicine initially in Costa Rica. After that, I had a lot of residency experience in Costa Rica, specifically in cardiology. After that, in the midst of that, and after that, I pursued the U.S. dream I had ever since I was finishing med school in Costa Rica. So now I'm a US IMG who is matched into my top ranked program, and I am very glad of being in my program. Yeah, actually, I'm very happy. So the reason I'm doing this video is this is step one advice. So I took step one advice a while ago, but I recently I did a live with Tijuana, which she's on Instagram, and we did a live on Instagram on my Instagram, charlesclinton.md, if you guys want to follow, about step one advice. So she asked me that in the as a DM, and I told her, okay, let's do a live. So out of that, we were speaking for about 90 minutes, and I will summarize what we spoke about. Actually, she summarized it for me because I told her, okay, if you can summarize this, just send me a message with what you summarized. And this is what we spoke about. So thank you very much, Tijuana. This is what we spoke about, and this video hopefully is less than 10 minutes. My advice for step one. So, in summary, yeah, step one is a dragon. You have to slay that first dragon. It's the hardest dragon to slay because, number one, it's usually your first encounter with the step exams. So that's tough because you don't know what to expect about of it, right? Because once you take step one, you know what you'll expect with step two, at least like the basics of, okay, there's a what's a prometric center, how do you manage time, what happened in your first experience, etc., right? So that's the reason is step one is part of that's part of the reason step one is the hardest dragon to slay. Another reason is because step one is all these basic sciences, and most people, most IMGs who take this exam usually already graduated medicine and already forgot the Krebs cycle and all these nitty gritty details of the basis of medicine. So that's why it's also difficult. Of course, even if you're a US medical graduate and you take the exam right after you took biochemistry, anatomy, and all this, physiology, it is also harder than step two and step three. But yeah, that's why you have to pay a lot of attention to step one preparation, and you want to maintain or open the maximum amount of doors you can, because in the end you'll be able to go through one door, but the idea is that you have many doors so you can have the option to choose, and that's very valuable, right? It's better for you to be able to choose which door you want to go in through instead of just going through the only door that was open, right? In the end, if a door opens, better taking it than not. But if you're able to make the choice, that is even better. How can you make this choice? Doing your best in every step of the way. So, step one advice in summary, number one, the the Bible of step one is first aid for step one. So, other than the other step exams, there is step one is a very clear scenario where there is actually a book I could call a Bible for it, and that is the first aid for step one. If you have the first aid 2021 and you are taking the test in 2022, probably that won't change much. I wouldn't ask you, okay, you need the 2022 version. If you have the 2017 version and you're taking the test in 2021, probably there's scenario, I tell you, okay, better try upgrading to the 2021. Will that reflect a major change in points? Probably not, but at least you will have higher odds of getting those questions that might have some changes, right? Anatomy won't change, physiology won't change by now, pharmacology and pharmacology is one of those major areas where you can see a change from 2017 to 2021. Okay, so first aid is the book you need. How many books you need for step one? Just one. First aid. Do you need it printed out or do you need the digital version? I would recommend the digital version. Why? Because if you make any annotations, you can just do Control F and you can get to it very quick. You want to be efficient with your time. If you have the printed out version and you want to go remember your notes, you will have to go and check through the pages and you might not even find what you're looking for. So it will be much more complicated. If you travel to anywhere, you'll have to take that printed book with you, and it weighs a couple pounds, right? Or yeah, like a pound and a half, maybe 2 pounds. So if you have it in your computer, you're probably taking your computer. You're probably taking your phone. You will have all the annotations. It's just Control F and you find whatever you were looking for. In case you take any annotations, I would recommend this when you're doing questions. So number one is this book, First Aid for Step 1. How will you learn the First Aid for Step 1? I would recommend through questions. Which questions? Okay, here is a specific question bank I recommend initially, which is the USMLE-RX. USMLE-RX is the webpage made by Tao Li and these people who made the first aid book. So this is the place where you want to go in order to learn this book. You pay the subscription, hopefully for the 6-month subscription, because you're starting out studying. You won't take the test in 1 month or 2 months. Probably that won't happen. The only way that can happen is if you're these indigo children who have a 100% retention of absolutely everything they've read in their life. If that's the case, you probably won't have much of a social skill. So if you say, I think I'm funny, you're not in the group of learning everything at the first time, and you won't take this test in 1 to 2 months. So remember that if you're an international medical graduate, you'll need more effort than a US medical graduate, because you learned and you grew in a different system. You have to learn the ways of the US system before you can learn to fly in these question banks and everything it encompasses. So the way I would recommend learning the first aid for step 1 is USMLE-RX question bank. It's not a question bank that will be good enough to actually ace the exam. So if you can get a 100% correct in USMLE-RX for step 1, that doesn't guarantee you a great grade in the actual exam. Why is this? It is because the USMLE-RX questions are mainly for you to be able to eventually memorize the content in the first aid book. But even if you memorize it completely, getting that knowledge and transferring it in an effective way into the test won't be probably that good if you just rely on that question bank. Because that question bank, it's very straightforward. It's for you to be able to fill in the blanks in the first aid test, which is what I would recommend you doing initially. Because if you're able to memorize and fill in the blanks for the first aid book, number 1, it will give you confidence. Number 2, it will broaden your knowledge base. Number three, it will set you up for the next step. What's the next step after that? Okay, now it's time to go into the real deal. And the real deal is UWorld. The real deal for step one, for step two, for step three is the UWorld question bank. Okay? So and no one cares if you say I got a 100% in this and that question bank, or a great grade in this and that question bank, unless you say I got a great grade in UWorld. You say that, that is setting you up for success, because UWorld is very representative of what you'll see in the actual tests. Okay, there is another question bank out there that I think is very similar and what might improve your game a lot, but this is mostly right now for step two, which is Amboss question bank. But for step one, they're still developing it, and it might take a couple of years for them to have a product that is so good as UWorld for step one. So that being said, okay, do the questions. How did I memorize basically all first aid for step one? It was through doing the USMLE-RX questions in the random timed test mode. After I completed that question bank, and I also saw their express videos, which is another pearl I'm giving you, because their express videos are worth it. Why? Because the video you are seeing on the screen is the exact same image you are seeing in the book. So it's the exact same image. In a 5 to 7 minute video, you can see when you're in the bathroom, you can see when you're washing the dishes, you can see very quickly. It doesn't need 30 minutes of your time. It isn't a video that's gonna make you fall asleep. It's just enough for you to go through the video and you can say, okay, interesting, I'm ready for another video, or I'm gonna call it quits for today, right? So I recommend you to do that combination while you're doing the question bank. Try to go through this question bank quickly, and after you go through the USMLE-RX question bank, maybe you're missing many express videos to see about the first aid book. It doesn't matter. Keep on with UWorld, and while you're doing UWorld and you have these moments where you have to drive to the grocery store and you know that it's 30 minutes and you're driving alone, put the USMLE, put on the express videos and play them and listen to it, and that's how you will be time efficient instead of just listening to Bad Bunny on the way, right? Although sometimes if you're already too fatigued, you can listen to Bad Bunny and everything, but that's what I would recommend. So questions hopefully from day one. Initially, for you to get some confidence and all, start off with something easier, which would be these USMLE-RX. Familiarize with the material, memorize the book. But if you feel you didn't memorize it and you're insecure, who cares? Whatever you learned doing that whole question bank will help you for the UWorld. If you're taking it seriously, I wouldn't stress in doing that question bank twice. I would go then to the UWorld and do that whole question bank and read through every explanation, because if you get it correct, you have to understand why you got it correct and why options B, C, and D are incorrect, and how they could be correct with a minor change in the question. Because when you're in the actual exam, you will get these other questions that actually options B, C, or D would eventually be the correct answer. But if you don't read and listen and understand the explanations, you won't be able to get the most out of what they offer you, which is a great product. So then do the UWorld timed test mode. The objective is that you get to at least a block and do it in timed random test mode and try to get to the block. Initially, it would take me The first days it would take me the whole day of studying. We're talking about 9 to 10 hours, sometimes even more, to go through 13 questions, because I went through the question and I had to read and read and read and read until I found out, well, on one hand, all of this reading, yeah, it helped me out to increase my knowledge base and to be able to go through the questions quicker. But I think even more important than that was to understand what's the what will give me the most growth. So basically what gives you the most growth is not take it so extreme. Don't take it to an extent that one question will take you half an hour or 1 hour. No, understand it. Why did I get it wrong? Am I understanding it? Could I explain it? Okay? And move on. And that's it. So timed test mode, in the random mode, just keep on doing it, and eventually you'll get to doing one block, and eventually a week or a couple weeks will pass by, and suddenly you have more time during your day and you'll be able to do 2 blocks per day, and you will be able to check all of the answers and understand them. Couple weeks or a month will pass by and you'll be able to get to 3 blocks a day. But everyone has their own rhythm. So there are some people that never get to do 3 blocks a day. So it depends on what's your mode. The idea is that you feel comfortable, and at the end of the day you hopefully will be exhausted. You'll be ready to sleep, but you'll sleep fine, and next day ready to go on again. I would also recommend you to be able to rest, right? If you're someone like me, during step 1 I didn't believe in resting, because I thought that every second that would pass by would be I had to be studying because someone in the other part of the world was studying while I was sleeping. That doesn't make sense, and in the long run it isn't cost effective. Remember, you have to rest. So I would recommend you that the best way to go through this is study 7 days and rest half day. If you're half day to 1 day, so I'd say 2 half days or a whole day. So you could go through the whole week and suddenly stop studying Saturday midday, take the rest of the day off. Sunday midday, rest of the day off. Or maybe you want to do something the whole day of Saturday, do it. Or if after a couple weeks you are completely fatigued and you have to take 2 days off, take them. But what I want to get to is that you have to maintain your uh, mental peace, because if you're not at peace and if you're not enjoying the material, you're not understanding. If you're not understanding, you're not consolidating. If you're not consolidating, you aren't applying any of this on the actual exam. So that being said, that's the summary for how to prepare for step 1. Couple extra things to say: don't go on Reddit, don't go on all this social media, and because most people you'll see there haven't gone through this process. So if you're listening to me, I already took the exams, I already matched, and I'm already a resident here in the US. Those are the people you should listen to, people that already went through it and passed it. Don't listen to the people that are in your same situation right now that haven't taken the test. They don't know what they're probably talking about because they haven't taken it. And they usually might even bring you down, because you might end up seeking advice from someone that has been preparing for 3 years for step 1, that haven't taken the exam, and they are the ones, the guru who is giving you the actual recommendations. That is setting up for failure, right? Better try to go with those people that actually set a date to their dream, that were able to make it a goal and to accomplish these goals, and that's it. So this is a summary for how to prepare for step 1. If after you finished UWorld, you still are doing not as you would wish to, I would recommend you, instead of going on to jump to another question bank, I would repeat UWorld again, random, timed, test mode, and yeah, there are plenty of questions for you to be able to get a good grade on the actual exam, and that's better than going to a question bank that no one knows and that no one knows how effective and it would be in the actual exam, because that wouldn't make sense, right? You have to go with what works and what is already demonstrated effective. What I'm telling you is the building blocks for success. What I used for success, I did a couple more question banks. So I also did Kaplan question bank. I did the USMLE-RX. I did UWorld, and I did part of MedBullets. Of these, I'd say I would have used my time more effectively, concentrating mainly on UWorld, and I would have done UWorld twice instead of going on to these other question banks. That is what I can tell you retrospectively after living through it and after seeing all these other people who have matched into great specialties and great places. Um, what else can I say? I want this video to be very complete so that you don't have to see any other of my videos to understand all the best of my recommendations. So I could tell you what else am I missing? Okay, so you shouldn't be a robot, so you should do the things you like. So if you like to play the piano, yeah, incorporate that in your daily routine, or every 2 days. If you need to work out to feel like in peace with yourself, like me, I was able to get to exercise almost on a daily basis, and that's the only way I might maintain this rhythm of study. If working out isn't your thing, I would actually recommend you to try it out at least a little bit, because I'm sure it will bring you benefits. And what else can I say? So don't be a robot. Don't think this is impossible. This can be done. If I did it, you can do it. But you just need to focus on priorities. What else? Very important. Take out anyone in your life that isn't helping you out, that doesn't wish you the best. Take them out of your life. You shouldn't have these people near, because these people are the ones that are like hanging out on you, right? That they are the hyenas, and when there's many of them, if they can just make you fall, they'll make you fall. And that's what eventually happens. People with bright futures ahead of themselves start to listen to all these hyenas, and they end up being prey to them. Don't let this happen to you. Do not listen to the naysayers. Sometimes even your parents may be consciously or subconsciously throwing you bad vibes, negative vibes. Do not listen. If this is your dream, go for it. And only you are in charge of lifting yourself up once, yeah, one time after the other, right? So I hope this helps you out. If you need any specific recommendations, if you have any specific question, if I am incorrect, if you have any feedback, any comment, whatever, just let me know. I prefer doing this video even if the vacuum cleaner is here and this might be a mess of a room right now, a little bit, instead of not doing it. Because remember, proactivity is key. You just have to stay active. You have to work. You have to present yourself to the test on the date. And sometimes that's better than trying to fix all this up and get the best setup, because you'll never do the video if that's the case. Today is Sunday, 7:30 p.m. Have to work tomorrow morning. That was the video. I'm not editing it at all. it is what it is. If it works, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So that's it. And go for your dreams. And let me know if I can help you out. You can follow me in charlesclinton.md in Instagram, or you can comment here in the comment section, like, dislike, whatever, but be active and make your name count. See you later, and peace.